What is up today, YouTube? I do appreciate anybody who watched or subscribed to my channel because of the fingerboarding video. I never expected, a 1:30 in the morning session to get me 4,000 views, so that is absolutely amazing. I do have a couple freestyle videos I need to finish up, and those will be coming out soon. And then hopefully Wednesday, I have a handboarding versus fingerboarding edit to go up. So if you guys like fingerboarding, if you like handboarding, you can check that out hopefully Wednesday. If not, it will be soon after that. But today's video is all about the struggles of skate shoes. Skate shoes are very expensive and, for me, apparently very hard to find. So I always try to get them as cheap as possible. They are something that get destroyed. And I don't even skate a lot of switch. Dancing on trucks, though, really do ruin shoes, I guess, apparently, too. So they get destroyed. So why spend a ton of money on something that's going to get destroyed? Now, if I was an AM skater who was looking to get sponsored by a company, get Flow, then I could see me buying a lot of that company's shoes. But I'll probably never be Flow or sponsored by a shoe company. And I can say that confidently. So I try to buy my skate shoes very cheap. And when I can't find them cheap, I always went to Walmart and I picked up a pair of Airspeeds. I've skated Airspeeds for many years. They are actually a skate shoe brand. Tony Hawk has ridden for them back in the 90s, and a couple of pro skaters have recently rode for them. Now, if you read articles online, apparently they're the worst company to ride for. They never pay their riders. But as a consumer, that really didn't affect me. So I actually have had a couple of their pro models, and they're sold in Walmarts. So even the pro models are only 26 bucks. So that really worked out for me. But I believe the company may have gone out of business because I can't find their shoes anymore. So that left me to searching consignment shops, which I'm okay with. There is a consignment shop near me that sells nothing but name brand products. If you try to give them a Walmart brand to sell, they will not sell it. They only want name brand. So that's where these Adidas came from. So I went there last weekend, and they just didn't have absolutely anything. They had like 10 pairs of men's shoes total. I don't know if COVID must have affected everything here. So I left there and I drove a mile up the road to Goodwill, which had absolutely nothing in men's shoes. From Goodwill, I drove 2 miles up the road from that to a Salvation Army. Once again, absolutely nothing. From there, I drove another mile up the road to a giant indoor flea market that I spent over an hour going stand to stand, and I kept finding men's shoes, but they were all running shoes. So at that point, last weekend, I spent 4 hours looking for a pair of shoes, and I found nothing. Nothing that could even be skated. Now, in some ways, I'm very particular about my skate shoes. I have skated leather shoes, but I much prefer suede. And they have to be stitched where the stitching isn't going to affect my flick. Only because I have had shoes in the past when that stitching breaks and the shoe falls apart. And you're having a bad, bad day then. So, where I'm not particular is I wear a size 11 men's, but I can wear from 10 and a half to a 13 to skate. That I am not that particular about. So I found nothing last week and I spent 4 hours looking. Yesterday, I got out of work after a 10 and a half hour shift. I didn't take a lunch. I worked beginning to end of day, just running my butt off. And I immediately hopped in my car after work and I drove 30 minutes past my place to go out to another town near me, another bigger town, and check out stores out there, where I hit up another Salvation Army and I was not able to get a pair of shoes there. And in that time, I realized I'm done looking for consignment shoes and I'm going to go to Zumiez across the street. So I shoot over to Zumiez across the street. I was going to pick up a new deck and a pair of shoes. And I have a decent bit of money left on a gift card, so I set a budget for 50 bucks for shoes. More than I normally would spend, but in my head it was very reasonable for a pair of skate shoes. The only things I could get out there was, very cheap made Vans. Not the like skating Vans, like they're low, cheap end ones, and those were still 50 bucks. But in the back of the shop, I see 50% off all of these shoes. So I run to the back of Zumiez and I start going through them and I find two pairs in size 11 men's. And when I pick the first pair up, it says Forest on it. So I thought that meant just forest green colorways. No, these are literally hiking shoes made by, I can't even remember what company it was made by, but they were 35 bucks. There were 11 men's in a skate shop or Zumiez. And I'm like, this is exactly what I like. Open up the box, and I got so bummed out. Because at this point, I have about 6 hours in now, and I haven't talked about all the stores I went to, but I have about 8 stores I went to try to find skate shoes. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I couldn't even buy a deck in Zoomies. They had 5 decks total. Not in the size or at the price range I'm going to pay for a deck. And I don't even know how the hell you only have 5 decks at Zoomies. So I couldn't even get a deck. I did check out a couple other stores where then I got very, very discouraged. I have now about 10 hours of my life and looking for a pair of shoes that I can afford or comfortably pay for, and I have come up with zero. So I was done with my shopping day. I stopped at Taco Bell to pick up for me and my wife, and I got stuck in a half-hour drive-through. And at this point, I am ready to snap. Like, I'm very aggravated. So I ended up taking out my phone and going on the Facebook Marketplace, which I had already been on in the past 2 weeks, 3 or 4 times looking for skate shoes. And I just type in men's shoes, and popped up town right next to me, size 11, all shoes selling cheap. So I click on it and I go through, and there's a pair of these white Nikes. I can't see if they say SB on them, but I can see they're white Nikes. So I messaged the guy and I said, hey, are those white Nikes SB? After a very long, drug out conversation to explain to the guy that SB stands for skateboarding, he says that those shoes are already sold. But he has a gray pair. So I finally got a new pair of skate shoes that say SB. And I'm so stoked on these. So I got these for 25 bucks. These have been worn one time ever. They're in mint condition other than like a couple of rocks in the sole of the shoe, but there is no damage to them at all. It still had the paper stuffed in them. So literally they were worn one time, and I got them for 25 bucks. Now, was this worth 10 hours of my life in about 12 stores I went to? Probably not, but I'm stoked to finally have a new pair of skate shoes. Now, why was I so hardcore to get a new pair of skate shoes and not just order them online? Well, soon, me and my wife are going out to my best friend Austin's place. You guys may remember Austin if you've been on the channel for a long time. We skate together as much as we can. He is my best friend, and it is his youngest daughter's birthday in a couple weeks. But the day before, me and him are going to go skate at a rec center where I guess there's like this DIY park, and I haven't skated street in a long time. This is why I haven't skated street in a long time. I have taped this up more times than I can count because of COVID. I could not get shoes. Stores weren't open. But I finally got a pair of shoes, and I'm stoked on it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully next time I go to find shoes, it's not as difficult. And hopefully I can get a deck before I go out because mine's cracked, and I really don't want to break a deck the second I get out there. But as always, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Like I said, Wednesday, fingerboarding, handboarding should go down. And as always, have a great day.